The trivium especially relates to the writing process, both the aspect of problem solving and that of communication. The trivium was foundational to the classical liberal arts education, and since it relates to our goal of solving problems and communicating results, let's look at each of its components and see why it was foundational. Just as the quadrivium builds on the trivium, so the individual parts in the trivium build on each other. The trivium is composed of grammar, logic/dialectic, and rhetoric. The student learns grammar first, and this lays the foundation for learning logic. Grammar and logic together form the foundation for learning rhetoric. But what is grammar? These days we use the term grammar to refer to the mechanics of language and literature. In the Middle Ages, grammar meant the study of Latin. But this term can be used more broadly to mean the underlying rules and principles of a given subject, which is the approach taken in the book called Recovering the Lost Tools of Learning. For mathematics, this would include numbers, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. For English, this would comprise spelling, punctuation, pronunciation, word definition, word order, etc. For chemistry, this would encompass the names, symbols, characteristics, and so forth of the basic elements of matter. Using this broader definition, grammar gives the student foundational pieces of information that have no clear relationship when first introduced. Another way of looking at this is grammar is at the bottom of the trivium pyramid, upon which logic and then rhetoric are built. Once you have grammar, use logic to relate these pieces of information. During the Middle Ages, logic meant dialectic. Dialectic improves your reasoning by giving you apparent contradictions to solve. These problems force you to think beyond your current level of understanding. As you work through them, you make logical connections between the opposing propositions until you can harmonize them. By this process, you deepen your understanding. Specifically, with dialectic, you start with hypotheses, and from these develop first principles. Dialectic is the difference between memorizing a proof, which is a grammar level of learning, and deriving the proof. Thus, dialectic seeks ultimate truth through the use of logic. Your effectiveness in dialectic depends upon your proficiency at asking probing questions and at developing appropriate answers. Subjects such as math are especially effective in exercising your dialectic skills. Thus, algebra, differential equations, story problems in physics, and logic itself in philosophy are each effective at developing dialectic. After using logic to hone your reasoning, you move to the top of the pyramid, where your goal is to develop a way to package your finding for others. This packaging process is called rhetoric. Rhetoric involves persuasion and clear expression. It orients the reader and enhances the flow of logic so that it may persuade others. In math, rhetoric is the writing out or presentation of a proof. In English, it is the polished essay. In public speaking, it is the formal speech. You use logic to work your own way to the truth. You use rhetoric to convince others of your findings. From this, you can see that the problem-solving stage of your writing is where you work your way to an answer using logic, and the communication aspect of writing is where you convince others using rhetoric. This relates directly to solving technical problems and communicating the result, which is the essence of technical writing. For solving technical problems, you should already have a foundational understanding of your subject, which is what we are calling grammar. Working through to a solution is the logic part. Polishing it into an effective argument is what falls under rhetoric.